about opportunities in Web3 for big brands. And this panel will host Wächter.
Hi.
This was your keyword.
Hello. Yes, I'm on a mic. Follow me, exactly. I have the order to sit right, so you can choose whatever.
It's Wetten das again. Oh, Haribo.
So no table at all. Okay, 10 minutes after our schedule, but we still have half an hour.
Yeah.
Welcome, guys. Great to have an audience like you. We are kind of thrilled to have the topic of Web3. What else on the Web3 stage? We will have the question maybe, is it a new brand paradigm for going NFT for brands? And what are the chances and what are the risks? With me today, Camilla McFarland. She's head of operations at Mojito. She will tell us soon what that means. Tim, we saw each other already this morning on the blue stage. Tim Walther, he's heading Metaverse and NFT for the Volkswagen Group. And Benjamin Latsko, he has his own boutique like me, consulting boutique, brand strategist since years, deep into the space of Web3 and NFT, and also behind the team of this Adidas case. So he will tell us later. So welcome, half an hour for us. Camilla, Mojito sounds like a cool drink, but you obviously do something different, right?
It is. It's the sweetest way to mint.
Like a rock star, so you need, like ice cream, you really need to put the mic here.
Yeah. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Great. So we at Mojito, well, firstly, a little bit about sort of my background. I have been involved in crypto since about 2013 and have been working full-time, mostly in the Ethereum ecosystem since about 2017. Was at a company called Consensus for a while, helping bring to market a lot of the early Ethereum tools like MetaMask, Truffle, and Infura. And then in the last 2 years with Mojito, have been working with global brands to build out all of their backend, their ability to sell NFTs or give away NFTs, free claimables, redeemables, collectibles, whatever the brand fits their strategy. Building out all of the backend, the ability to buy in credit card and fiat or in crypto, and then dedicated secondary marketplaces, and then token gated experiences for their holders of these assets. And we've been working with Sotheby's Auction House for the last year and a half to build out all of their tech and help them enter the market, with some sports teams like Liverpool Football Club to bring their fan collectible strategy to life, and some consumer brands like Pernod Ricard and others. But that's us. And
thank you. I just see we got caught in time. I don't know, like 10 minutes we lost already.
I know.
Let's see. Let's see what's happening whether they kick us off this stage here. Tim, probably an easier proposition. So what is somebody like you doing for the Volkswagen Group? Is it kind of knowledge center of excellence for all the brands you're dealing with, or what is your day job in Metaverse and NFTs?
I liked all the titles, of course, but actually we have the luck that almost all our car brands that we have in the Volkswagen Group have already entered NFT cases, have explored the space, or will enter and have announced things in there. Starting from NFT collections, starting from art projects, but also in terms of metaverse experiences, for example. And I think what I said earlier, that the thing is, we all are aware it's a very new space, and we all need to know that we all don't know where we're going, right? We're all in the same boat, but we don't know exactly how and what to do. So the whole space and all the cases that are happening is still test and learn. So my luck is simply that our brands are very open to this thing, and I'm trying to leverage what's happening in one brand to understand what is going well, what is not working, what are the right partners to bring it to the next brand and connect these brands. So when we have legal questions, that we're working on things that are happening in the back end, and you probably all know the back end is very, 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 very hard to do for NFT projects, also for Metaverse. that we do that jointly and that we find partnerships together. So that we don't have a big tanker, which a lot of people always say Volkswagen Group is huge. It is huge, but we try to have the speedboats basically in the markets and try to help each other. And that's how we move, hopefully, forward a bit faster.
Cool. So while introducing yourself, Benjamin, maybe you can pick the first ice-breaking question, which is,
Sure.
should so-called Web2 brands, whatever that is, move into being a Web3 brand? And maybe you can tell a little bit of your experience with Adidas, for example, which is everyone has in mind. So
Sure. I'm happy to. So I'm a full stack marketeer and brand strategist. My journey with Web3 really started in 2020 when I was lucky enough to work with Adidas at the time. And, to your question, I'm going to keep it short, my intro. The main pillar that we're focusing on is really activating this inner pioneer that is within this legacy brand as part of their DNA to embrace the technology that's in front of us and build out exciting consumer or community experiences while also building on some type of, well, not just some type of, but looking into building out infrastructure and not only on the engagement side and sales things. That's pretty much it.
Going into Web3 space, because I said Adidas did it, Nike did it, and Jägermeister did it, as we just learned. So what's the hurdle, I don't know, to convince somebody to go into that kind of untapped market? Is it, some people say, hey, they have some money to play, but it's serious game, right? It's really an investment into a complete new brand approach and so on. So maybe you can share a little bit of your experience.
Look, yeah, it's all about innovation. And in innovation, we cannot guarantee any type of success or a certain type of result that everyone would like to see. So, framing these type of project and framing this go-to-market approach as an experiment, as something more playful, but still building brand equity in a space that is obviously evolving in something that we're all interested in. I think we're seeing around 150 people here at the conference just listening to how brands can enter the metaverse. The right framing for a go-to-market, together with the right ambition in a certain time period, is, I think, the fundamental for brands to enter the space, with the right commitment from the very top to give enough air coverage to also allow a certain degree of failure, because we cannot guarantee success at this point.
If I may add to that, I fully agree. And I think one thing that brands have to still be sure, you can play, but do it mindful, and then choose the right projects that you really want to do and that you're able to pull off also if it takes a bit longer, right? Because a lot of the brands have a heritage of 70 years or even longer. They have a heritage of
300 with Sotheby's.
300, right? And you have a marketing, and you have an image of your brand, and you have an image of your marketing. And you have to be aware if you do certain kind of projects. If you're now dropping a 10K collection, for example, because you're just thinking, well, let's just do it, and you don't have a plan, it's gonna backfire, right? And it's gonna backfire to your brand. So be very, very mindful on what you're doing also with your brand, because there are risks, and you have to do your homework. But nevertheless, if you don't take a risk, you can't do Web3.
Yeah,
exactly. And it depends on how big you want to make it, right?
And we can get into that. We were just chatting earlier about, how does a brand enter the space?
Rosa?
What things do you consider when you're entering the space? How should a brand enter the space? Which is a great topic, because it kind of just depends on your brand and your fans and your buyers and why you're doing it. But Adidas, which in my view is one of the best case studies for a really successful launch, when you sort of diagnose why it was successful, there's a couple things that come to mind, and I know you were really involved with it, but as a participant and observer, and have worked closely with the team as well, the timing was key, because it was the peak of, and to take a step back, like, this is still very experimental technology, and NFTs and brands using them and sort of this market and this cycle as we know it has only really been active for a year and a half. It was the big Beeple 69 million digital art sale at Christie's in, I think, April of last year that really kicked off this last cycle. Sorry, April of 2020, that really kicked off this last cycle. And so the core actors in space are mostly crypto natives. It's people with crypto wealth who look around the room in their ecosystem and think, what luxury items can I buy with my crypto assets? And they look at, so far, digital art and collectibles, which is largely what the NFT market has been, and mostly speculative, where they're mostly buying it to be able to sell it to someone later for more. And we can get into utility because that's definitely the next phase, but we haven't really seen that be unlocked yet. But
No.
The timing of Adidas was perfect. And they quite clearly in the decision, as one of the panels was earlier saying, am I bringing this to market for the Web3 native fans or to my global fan base that doesn't even know, certainly doesn't know any crypto, doesn't even really know what a blockchain or NFT is? Adidas quite obviously made the choice to bring it to market for the existing core power users within Web3. You could only transact in ETH on
Correct.
chain. They partnered with G Money, who's a big influencer in the space, and Punks Comics, which is another NFT group. So they clearly went full court press. And Bored Ape Yacht Club, well, through G Money, and went full court press after the crypto natives. And the timing was right. It was catered. It was a streetwear brand, which is sort of evocative of crypto culture. And so like nailed it across the board. But not all brands, depending on their brand identity and where they are taking that approach. But it's interesting to sort of diagnose what was successful about it.
Yeah, it was all about authenticity.
Yeah.
Right. So whenever a brand goes into a new space, there are two ways to go into it and embrace technology. One is on one side, it might be more on the technology side where you help build out the infrastructure, or on the other side, it can also be about the culture. And with Adidas, we went for culture. And that's why we needed those key authenticators in the space with Bored Ape Yacht Club, Pixel Vault, and G Money that helped us enter the space in a credible way. And that was just looking at the partnership framework. But of course, the go-to-market together with the activations, so the technology we built on, which was Ethereum, was a key part to that success and to how we positioned Adidas in Web3.
And you perfectly understood the target audience, from what I understand at least. And that's a very crucial point. Like, what is the actual audience who is buying brand NFTs at the moment?
Yeah.
Big brands, of course, are always saying, hey, we've got, 30, 50 million followers. We'll bring them into the space. Try. Yeah. And then look at the brand NFTs. For example, if you look on Dune Analysis, which is basically using Etherscan and making nice graphs out of it, there's a nice analysis where you can, for example, see what were the wallets that were minting the brand NFTs. Are these experienced wallets? Have they done 40 mints before? Or is this the first mint, basically? And there you can basically at least get an understanding, are brands able to bring maybe their audience into the space? Then it's probably their first mint or one of the first 3 mints. Then this is an indication, and you can try to understand, okay, what kind of, how was the setup of the NFT? Like, was it easy to mint? Was there KYC? What were the restrictions? And trying to understand from that.
KYC, not everybody knows what KYC is.
Know your customer, basically.
Yeah?
So, yeah.
Is that maybe the reason why Starbucks kind of converted their Web3 strategy now completely and doesn't even speak about non-fungible token anymore, just like in China, collectibles for a different reason, yeah? But is that the reason to make it more easy, accessible to the overall brand followers, not just to the crypto bros and sisters?
I think you can tell a lot more about this project because I think Starbucks quite well. But I think it was very smart to use other terms, especially on how they're setting up the project, because they are aiming for another audience. They're clearly aiming for the 30 million sized loyalty program. And you cannot bring them on board if you push them away with technology terms. And I think that's very smart, and we'll see that a lot more often.
And also, it's a term that doesn't serve us. So I naively in 2018 thought that the killer application for NFTs was going to be commercial real estate tokenization and then commercial real estate fractionalization and investing. I'm very glad it's been mostly digital art and collectibles over the last year and a half, because it's made crypto kind of like cooler and more accessible. But a lot of like where we are today, obviously with the people in the audience, the word NFT, I think it was even Spotify's word of the year last year, it's reached the zeitgeist and it's reached global awareness. Like, there's a beat reporter at
on top of the Gartner hype cycle currently.
Yeah, exactly. There's a dedicated beat reporter now at like the Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Telegraph, Rolling Stone, every major publication to cover NFTs and digital assets. But it hasn't quite reached.
We just continue.
Okay, it's reached awareness, but it hasn't reached understanding yet. Like people actually knowing what it is. And in fact, if they just read the headlines, they kind of hate it because they see these $1 million photos of a monkey and they think this is so stupid, especially in this economy, that this thing is happening and people are spending money on it. And so we saw it with when Liverpool Football Club launched their NFT program and even the Starbucks announcement, there was a huge backlash saying, get this scammy thing out of our team or out of the coffee company we love so much. And so we have a long way to go for understanding and an even longer way to go for active users. I mean, even just looking at the data, to your point, that power community, that Web3 native like DGen group that's spending a lot of, it's, I think in this last week or month, it's around 200,000 to 600,000 active monthly wallets interacting with NFT contracts on Ethereum. That's tiny. But these wallets on average are spending like upwards of $10,000 each. So it's a small amount of people doing most of the activity in the trading. And you can take that number of wallets and probably divide it by 2. I mean, I have like 4 or 5 active wallets. So the participants that are really in this space, active wallets to get to numbers, you can get even lower. It's a small power group. And so when these global brands enter, it's that decision of who do they serve. And it's nice to see them go more and more towards serving everybody else.
I really like the example of Starbucks because, you know, they're innovating in their space, in their realm, with their loyalty program while still making innovation accessible by not talking about the technology at all. Is that the way forward? It might help mass adoption. We hope so. That's what we're all here for. But I do think that they're taking a great approach in innovating in a product that they have, you know, global recognition for being best in their industry with their loyalty program.
Tim, let's talk a little bit about the risks. Volkswagen has so many great brands and really carefully build up brands over years and centuries almost. And somebody like Audi or Porsche or Volkswagen or Bugatti, whatever. Do you also, you know, you have this knowledge center, but do you also have this kind of task to deep dive into what can happen if you do it wrong or whatever? So do you also follow what some backslashes of other companies, or I don't know?
Where you don't have to dig deep, right? There's people asking you the right questions all the time. So there's people coming to you, how do you do this? Why do you do this? I mean, talking with legal, treasury, all these departments, it is tough. It is tough to pull off a big NFT projects, and our brands are telling us this every day, but it's doable, right? You have to solve a lot of these questions for the first time, but once you're over that, you know how to do it, right? Still, there's risks. You have to take some risks because some things are simply not regulated. On some things, we simply don't know yet what is the right path.
And I was going to say, for me, like in even answering that question, the brands we've been talking about, it kind of comes down again to like why brands are doing this. And it's really interesting in all the brands in different industries, automotive, streetwear, fashion, luxury, consumer that we speak with. When you actually ask them why, you get an interesting mix. And to sum it up, like in some of them, it's sort of innovation theater. Like their competitors are doing it. They want a metaverse. Someone has a metaverse 2022.
Fear of missing out.
FOMO. Or it's like on someone's job deliverable that year to figure out a metaverse or Web3 strategy. Sometimes it's profit, often, where they see the success of Adidas, who's I think made more money now on secondary royalties even than initial sale. And they think we need to be part of this and sell to this new Gen Z consumer that's spending so much money. But the ones that actually get what the tech can do, where, you know, everybody here, just by nature of being digital marketing conference, knows that these brands with 30 million followers on their Twitter and their Instagram, it's so hard to monetize that digital community. Like the only real way to do it is to sell advertisement to those people. And the brands don't like that because they don't really get that much value. And the fans don't really enjoy it because the reason why they're following you in the first place is because they love your brand.
Yeah.
And so this allows you to co-own something with your consumer together where the value of that community, like launching the NFT is phase 1. And then every value you continue to pour back, whether it's a digital membership token or being able to identify your most loyal Volkswagen customers or fans, everything you do and they do together, you co-own and co-benefit in, because you continue to get royalties on it and they benefit by owning it. And that unlock of like the why behind brands are exploring the space, then it gets really exciting.
And this is then actually community, right? Because people are tending to say, well, on social media, we have community. Well, try community with 30 million followers, right? You cannot engage.
It's not a community. It's a channel. Yeah?
Exactly. It's a media channel. A lot of the social media channels are simply a media channel. You push out the news, right? And you get some feedback. Do you do something with it? Some brands do, some can, some not, right? But if you narrow down the circle with NFT communities, for example, you get a very interesting audience. You have, like, on one side, compared maybe to social media fans. On the other side, let's take stock investors, because investing is a thing in NFTs as well, right? And then you now have an audience which is in between those two, right? You have people that are involved in your brand because they're buying into it, because they're seeing something, they want to be part of it, maybe because of the utility or whatever is happening. On the other side, they are also demanding a lot more from the brand, right? So you cannot treat them like a social media fan. You have to deliver. And this is also where we have risk for brands, right? People are buying products of brands, and this is why brand NFTs are working very well as well, because people trust them, right? And this is, you cannot negotiate on trust. You have to deliver, and this is especially important for brands that have a high value. And this is maybe a bit different if you're launching an NFT collection. Okay, well then this is your personal risk, but you can say, I'm going all in. Big brands can't.
Yeah, Camilla, you of course there are these kind of public markets if you want to launch NFTs like OpenSea, Rarible, whatever. But Mojito also does customized kind of, or white label, or I don't know how to name it, but kind of marketplaces for NFT projects. Can you a little bit explain what you're doing there?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think like the front page of NFTs right now, like, is kind of OpenSea. Like, that's where people go to buy NFTs, to sell
80% market share or so?
Yeah, I mean, depends on the week.
Depends on the week, okay.
There's a couple of other open, decentralized, or centralized marketplaces like LooksRare and others that have popped up that are taking some of the trading, and that will always exist, because the nature of these blockchain-based assets is that they're composable and they can be sold and brought into different marketplaces, and that will always exist. But as global brands enter, and outside of just sort of dipping a pinky in, when they actually get really serious about building their presence in this space, the world that we believe in, that I believe in, is that every brand will also have their Web3 homepage. Different than sort of like being in these virtual worlds in the metaverse, but literally just a site that is like Web3 NFT or commerce enabled.
Including their own market.
Including their own market. So a dedicated place where you go to their site to buy their NFTs, not some third-party site. You go to Prada's website or Adidas website like you guys did to buy their NFTs there in an experience with all the content and everything that you want, and then also a dedicated secondary marketplace. So if I'm only interested in picking up an Adidas or a Volkswagen NFT, I should be able to go to your website just to buy that on secondary. I can always go to OpenSea, but if I buy from you, I know I'll probably get a better take rate fee. I know it's trustworthy, and I can see all of the NFTs you've ever put out in the market as a brand in one place. And so that's the world that we're building and enabling with brands like Sotheby's and others, to really build at that sort of like Web 2 level of what users expect, but with all the Web 3 functionality. Yeah,
you want to kick in or?
No, I love that. I mean, it's basically the epiphany of what, the last 15 years of e-com have been driving. And it just makes sense, right? Having this brand hub where whatever the brand is offering to the consumer is available. Yeah.
And then it gets into what we haven't really seen quite yet, but I think is coming like very soon, is token gated utility. And we can get into utility. But
you can't do such thing 1 minute before we end.
No, 1 minute.
Now you have like 150 questions here. Okay, quick pitch.
Value to your user and your fan by actually holding the NFT. So outside of buying the Adidas NFT to sell it to someone later for more, what benefit do you get by holding it? And so if you go to the Adidas custom website and you can only get access by having that NFT in your wallet, then you can put any content and experience behind that gate. And then it starts to get exciting of building really enriching digital experiences.
The places where I like to start playing is that type of token gating within the partner network. So you're actually extending the whole infrastructure and also brand awareness of a brand if they're also able to tap into a partner network. Every major brand or every legacy brand has their partner network. And if this type of token gating is able to expand over the own ecosystem, that's where the secret sauce is, I think, for brands in 2022 and 2023 and beyond.
Great last words. Great last words. 13 seconds to go.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Awesome. Kind of half an hour or 25 minutes. I don't know. Yeah, clap. I think
Thank you.
we saw some great examples on why brands should conquer Web3, and I think there will be magic things coming up.